Hi all, I hope you're good. So, abilities. They can make a Pokemon with average stats great, and a Pokemon with great stats awful. An ability changes something about the battle it will be involved in. It might be a bonus to the Pokemon with the ability, like Speed Boost, which increases the Pokemon's speed each round by a stage. It could be the Pokemon it's facing, like Intimidate. This lowers the opponent's attack by one stage. It might even introduce weather effects when it enters battle, like Sandstream, which introduces a sandstorm to the battle. Or it could be ridiculous, like Seaking, a water type, having Lightning Rod, pulling all electric attacks to focus on it, even if it was meant to attack a different Pokemon. I mean, who wants that? Abilities matter hugely and cannot be understated. Some Pokemon are only used because of their ability. Let me tell you about one of my Pokemon. Until recently, my shiny Alakazam has led my attacking team, and it has the ability Magic Guard. This ability means it's only taking damage from things that actually do direct damage to it. It isn't hurt by weather, poison, or things like Leech Seed. Yes, that's brilliant. But it also holds a Life Orb for an item. A Life Orb increases the damage a Pokemon does by around 30%, but you lose 10% of your own health each attack to balance it out. Well, my Alakazam doesn't. His Magic Guard means he only takes damage from actually being hit. Considering Alakazam already has a very decent special attack stat, that's a big boost to its hitting power. By the way, special attack and the other base stats are covered in more detail in the Natures video in this series. Breloom has an ability called Poison Heal. This means that it will heal itself by an 1/8 at the end of each round when it's poisoned. It's a nice ability. Even if you're impatient and don't want to wait to be poisoned, just give it a Toxic Orb to take into battle and it will be poisoned without you having to hope somebody else poisons it. Healing an extra 1/8 of your HP every round is pretty good when you're not even having to use a move to do it. So what are hidden abilities? Well, you know I said my Alakazam has Magic Guard? That's actually a hidden ability. They don't usually have that. The name Hidden Ability actually comes from an earlier game, but does make sense. Usually a Pokemon has a couple of abilities it could have, but a hidden ability is an ability you can't usually get hold of for that Pokemon. You can check the normal abilities and hidden abilities for each Pokemon species on a couple of websites that I will link in the description below. I'll cover how you can hunt for hidden abilities using something called SOS chaining in Gen 7 in another episode at the end. Some hidden abilities are great, but some really aren't that usable in battle. They might be worse than the usual abilities in fact. That doesn't mean people don't want them. They are more difficult to get hold of, so a lot of people collect them. That happens with anything rare. You will have collectors. How do I get it? Let's just say they are rare and awkward to get hold of, but definitely not impossible. The most common way in Gen 7, Pokemon Sun and Moon, is using SOS chaining, which, as I mentioned, will be covered separately. As always, this was different in previous games because SOS chaining wasn't a thing. For now, I suggest trading them. Get yourself on a forum like Reddit and on one of the Pokemon trading subs. People trade a lot of things on there, including hidden abilities or HAs. Once you have a hidden ability Pokemon, you can breed it to have more to swap or as a basis for your new Pokemon. If it's a female, then, since Gen 5, it's easier because a female is 80% likely to pass on its ability. A male wouldn't usually pass on its ability, but since Gen 6, you could breed the male with a Ditto for a 60% chance to pass it on. The other 40% will just be a random different ability that it would usually have. This random ability will never be a hidden ability, it will choose from the normal abilities. So, when you are choosing a Pokemon to breed, check which ability you want it to have from all the abilities it can have. Remember, I'm breeding a Snorlax through this series, and remember that my female Snorlax was in the previous video. It has immunity as its ability, which means it cannot be poisoned. That's useful, but it's not the ability I want. I want Gluttony, which means she'll eat a berry at 50% health instead of 25%. That's a hidden ability though. I'll need to either SOS chain or trade a hidden ability Snorlax. I've saved myself SOS chaining one and traded one on Reddit with someone else. It's a male though, and I need a female. As I said earlier, I can breed a male with a Ditto to pass on the ability. Check out episode 2 if you want to know more about how to do that. In my example, I was unlucky and had to hatch about 30 eggs because I hatched 3 females before I had one with the hidden ability. Remember, a male passes it down 60% of the time, and I was just really unlucky. After all that, I got my hidden ability female though, and she is going to feature in the rest of these videos as an example. One more thing. You can use an ability capsule to change a Pokemon's ability if it has the wrong one. This is useful if you have a shiny, for example, that you want to use, and it has all the right moves, natures, etc., but the wrong ability. Use the capsule and it will change the ability. It won't change to a hidden ability though. They aren't that simple. Anyway, this is a shorter video, but we've had a few examples and I think you'll understand what abilities and hidden abilities are. It's definitely something to plan far ahead and decide what you want your next Pokemon to have before setting out to breed them. The next video, we will look at natures. See you then.